Welcome to another edition of Turn 6 Garage, and today we're seeing another bit of new metal on the channel, a 2023 Volkswagen Passat Alltrack. Now, the Passat Alltrack is the four-wheel drive version of the Volkswagen Passat station wagon. For 50 grand, excluding government charges, and 57,000 on road for this specific example in Victoria, is it worth the effort? One thing is certain about the Passat is it's not the prettiest looking thing in the world. It's quite ordinary and quite anonymous. The interior also is more on the functional side, but it's quite comfortable. Driving position's quite good. The controls are easily laid out, although it does have the same touch-sensitive controls for the climate control as the T-Roc previously featured on this channel. But it's okay. The navigation interface can be a little bit troublesome to sort out if your phone doesn't like it, but it's fundamentally okay. One thing that's really good about it is the interior space. There's masses of space, front, rear, and boot. It is a very practical car. The boot is huge and the seats fold down. The rear accommodation's fantastic, especially if you're tall like me with large feet, and so is the front. So as a practical car, it shapes up very well. For this kind of money, there's not many cars that are SUVs or elevated wagons that offer this kind of space. So one thing that really does sell the Passat is the accommodation. However, what is this thing like to drive?
So what's the Passat like dynamically? It's surprisingly good. I didn't expect it to be this good of a car. Big wagon with four-wheel drive. It's actually a bit on the woolly side, and it's just not. I mean, in town centres like this, easily wafts through calmly, quietly, and serenely. The ride's a little choppy though over uneven surfaces, so it is the one thing that seems to spoil its sort of soft, serene feeling. This ride's a little bit on the hard side. It is a Volkswagen Audi, and yeah, the harder ride is something more a thing with these cars, but when you go down a few gears, the performance when in gear is amazingly good. This is a 2-litre inline 4-cylinder engine with 162 kilowatts. As powerful as an old Mark 6 Golf GTI in the body of a Passat with 4-wheel drive. Now, other thing I don't like is it has the wonderful lane keep assist. You all know how much I love these systems, so I'm going to turn that off. The performance is in gear when you drop a couple of cogs. It is surprisingly good. I thought this would be a bit on the slow side, but no way. This thing feels quite effervescent. The engine pulls very well. The thing that gripes me in this car is the gearbox in D. It's DSG and it likes changing gears a lot. I'm in sixth gear at 60 kilometers an hour. Come on! It just changes and changes gears. Come on. Pick a gear. Keep it in a consistent gear. 7th at 70. What is it with these Germans ruthlessly weighting these things to fuel economy? It just blows the transmission up and the clutch. Yes, as I know all too well with a DSG Volkswagen, it can go from the quiet cruiser to an effervescent hot hatchback, even though it feels big. It has that same push and go that you love, well, I love in the old Golf GTIs. And at high speed cornering, turns very well. It's a bit of understeer, but it's a big car. Turns pretty well. Turns very well. Very well. Take off, and it just flies. Like you want to go further than you want to with this thing. Performance-wise, it's fantastic. It doesn't look like much, but this thing really does perform very well. acceleration is excellent. You can catch up huge distances in very short times with this car. I understand why Victoria Police bought these things. As a car to drive, as a car that does everything, it's fantastic. Passat Alltrack really is one of a handful of modern cars I'd actually contemplate buying. The Alltrack Passat, sure-footedness with the four-wheel drive, the handling, the manoeuvrability, the size, the practicality, this is a car I would genuinely consider buying, which for a modern car, it's quite rare for me. I've driven so many of them, but they haven't really made me want to buy one. I would genuinely consider one of these things if I was in the market for a large-sized car or small SUV, because it's the same money as a mid-tier T1. For the money of a mid-tier T1, I'd have this. It's that much better to drive. It's got more space. It's more practical. It's nicer to look at. It's a nice driving position. If I was buying a Volkswagen, this would be the one.
So as a practical proposition, the Passat Alltrack makes a lot of sense. Good value for money, great car to drive, excellent interior accommodation in a package that offers quite a lot. So if you're looking to lease one of these for 5 years or own it for a short period of time and upgrade, this is definitely a car you should look at. I would look at this in preference to many SUVs and also in preference to some of the other Germans like an Audi, a Mercedes or a BMW. Because having driven this, you look at the others and think, why would I spend more money for a similar package? The Alltrack makes a lot of more expensive cars look almost like they are entirely unnecessary, which is a fantastic trait. So I would really look at an Alltrack as a family car. But, as I said this at the T-Rock, the question sits on the reliability and longevity of this package. For the length of the lease and the warranty, this is a great car. After that, that's where the question marks stand. Now, Volkswagens over the last 15 years haven't exactly had a glorious reputation for reliability, especially when they've got an automatic DSG transmission attached to them, as this one does. So that's where my question marks sit with this car. If you're going to run this for a period of time and get rid of it and buy a new one, great. If you're going to run it for a long period of time, that's where this car may be a bit of a question mark. Having said that though, for the package it is, as a family car, as a practical proposition, a Passat Alltrack is a fantastic idea. It is definitely something I would buy over the equivalent SUV. Like the T-Rock, when you start throwing options at this thing, we start talking about a car in the mid-high 60s, if not low 70s. But even with a couple of options, it makes a lot of sense. It's still great value for money. It is a fantastic package if you want a practical proposition. However, the one thing I will say is, it didn't really set my heart alight when I let it go. I didn't feel like I was longing to drive this car. So it's a car you very much buy with your head. It drives well, but it didn't have the visceral connection I have with some of my other cars. But as a practical package, it's a very hard car to beat for the money. Thank you for watching. And if you like what we do, remember to like and subscribe. Thanks to Bayford Volkswagen Camberwell for loaning me this car.